Hello and welcome to our Bible study of 2 Samuel, and we are now in chapter 14. Okay. Now Joab, the son of Zeruiah, perceived that the king's heart was toward Absalom. And Joab sent to Tekoa, and fetched thence a wise woman, and said unto her, I pray thee, feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on new mourning apparel, and anoint not thyself with oil, but be as a woman that had a long time mourned for the dead, and come to the king, and speak on this manner unto him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. And when the woman of Tekoa spake to the king, she fell on her face to the ground, and did obeisance, and said, Help, O king. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and mine husband is dead. And thy handmaid had 2 sons, and they strove together in the field, and there was none to part them. But the one smote the other, and slew him. And behold, the whole family is risen against thine handmaid. And they said, Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him, for the life of his brother whom he slew, and we will destroy the heir also. And so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name nor remainder upon the earth. Okay, so we know that Absalom had fled Jerusalem because he had killed his brother for what he did to Tamar. And David wanted him back at this point. He missed Absalom and he wanted him back, but he felt like he couldn't just call on him to come back, because then everyone would think, well, you're not taking this murder very seriously, are you? So Joab came up with a plan, and he persuaded some woman to pretend to be a widow who had a similar scenario to what David had, where one brother had killed the other. But she was saying that everyone wanted to kill the guilty brother, but she was worried that if that happened, then her husband's name would die out. So they feigned a story to try and get Absalom back. I'm also going to write here, David didn't want to be seen as not taking the murder seriously. So they found a story. Okay. And the king said unto the woman, Go to thine house, and I will give charge concerning thee. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, My lord, O king, the iniquity be on me, and on my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, Whosoever saith aught unto thee, bring him to me, and he shall not touch thee any more. Then said she, I pray thee, let the king remember the Lord thy God, that thou wouldest not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, As the Lord liveth, there shall not be one hair of thy son to fall on the earth. So David promised to issue a command for the woman that wouldn't happen and he wouldn't be harmed. But she insisted, saying that she wouldn't hold him or his kingship responsible if he didn't stop the killing of her son. But David was patient, and he said that, no, that's not going to happen. So I don't know if David knew where this was going, but he agreed to her request to swear to the Lord to protect her son. So he swore to the Lord. David swore to the Lord that her son wouldn't be harmed. Obviously this is all a phony story. Alas, okay, let's read on. Then the woman said, Let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak one word unto my lord the king. And he said, Say on. And the woman said, Wherefore then hast thou thought such a thing against the people of God? For the king doth speak this thing as one which is faulty, in that the king doth not fetch home again his banished. For we must needs die, and as there is water spilt on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again, neither doth God respect any person, yet doth he devise means that his banish not be expelled from him. And so now that she's got this vow saying this guilty son will not be harmed, she's kind of doing what Nathan did a few chapters back when he gave the parable of the rich man and the poor man. And she's kind of saying, you're the man, this is you as well. So she's saying, so you're guilty for this too, so you would let off my son, but you're not granting the same to your own, i.e. David should grant the same to his own son. And David knew she was right. Okay, we're going to go quite a long section now, to about 24, so let's read on. Now therefore that I am come to speak of this thing unto my lord the king, it is because the people have made me afraid, and thy handmaid said, I will now speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his handmaid. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God. Then thine handmaid said, the word of my lord the king shall now be comfortable, for as an angel of God, so is my lord the king to discern good and bad. Therefore the Lord thy God will be with thee. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, hide not from me, I pray thee, the thing that I shall ask thee. And the woman said, let my lord the king now speak. And the king said, it is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this. He spotted it, he kind of recognised what was going on. And the woman answered and said, as thy soul liveth, my lord the king, none can turn to the right hand or to the left from aught that my lord the king hath spoken. For thy servant Joab, he bade me, and he put all these words in my mouth, in the mouth of thine handmaid, to fetch about this form of speech. Hast thy servant Joab done this thing? I'm all croaky. Okay. And my lord is wise according to the wisdom of an angel of God, to know all things that are in the earth. And the king said unto Joab, behold now, I have done this thing. Go therefore, bring the young man Absalom again. And Joab fell to the ground on his face and bowed himself and thanked the king. And Joab said, today thy servant knoweth that I have found grace in thy sight, my lord, O king, in that the king hath fulfilled the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, let him turn to his own house, and let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house and saw not the king's face. So the woman here, she really tried to plead her own case, and she wasn't focusing too much on David and Absalom, but David finally caught on, and it was like, hang on a minute, Joab did all this, didn't he? So David finally caught on, and he realised this was what Joab's doing. But he didn't get angry at Joab's little scheme, and he realised that Joab had good intentions in his heart, and he was doing it for him. So recognised Joab was doing this out of good intentions. So David wasn't angry. And so he gave him permission to bring Absalom back to Jerusalem, but he wasn't ready to see him face to face. A half attempt at reconciliation wasn't probably going to go well, so he wasn't ready to see him. But he wanted him back, but he wasn't ready to quite discuss what happened. But in all Israel there was none to be so praised as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him. Oh. And when he polled his head, for it was at every year's end that he polled it, because the hair was heavy on him, therefore he polled it, he weighed the hair on his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. Wow. So this is kind of random to put this in now, but the author wants us to know that he was a very handsome man and very highly praised and had beautiful hair, and he was perfect looking. I mean, can you imagine what Absalom must have looked like? But they want us to know that his physical attributes and his personality were really highly praised. I presume that's going to be becoming useful at some point later on in the story. So it's important to know. Nothing is by accident in the Bible. There's a reason we need to know this. So Absalom was charming and handsome. Right, we're going to take it to the end now, so let's keep reading. And unto Absalom there were born 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a woman of fair countenance. So Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem, and saw not the king's face. Wow, 2 years. Didn't want to see him for 2 years. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have sent him to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he sent again the 2nd time, he would not come. Therefore he said unto his servants, See, Joab's field is near mine, and he hath barley there. Go and set it on fire. Ooh. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose and came to Absalom unto his house, and said unto him, Wherefore hath thy servant set my field on fire? And Absalom answered Joab, Behold, I sent unto thee, saying, Come hither, that I may send thee to the king, to say, For where am I come from Geshur? It had been good for me to have been there still. Now therefore let me see the king's face, and if there be any iniquity in me, let him kill me. Woo! I had to get him to come one way or another. Oh goodness. So Joab came to the king and told him, and when the king had called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. Oh, so he went 2 years. And he was getting a bit restless, understandably, you know. So he tried to get Joab to come and sort it out, but he refused. So he kind of took matters into his own hand like a little baby, and he destroyed Joab's barley field. Savage. But finally he did intercede, and they met up, and then they reunited. So they finally reunited. And Joab finally caved. Okay. Alright. Interesting. Let's see what happens next. I always say that. I'm quite excited to read on. It is like quite an intense story, but I'm just going to keep it to 1 a day for now. But yeah, if you think I've missed anything, there was nothing really to even underline in this section for me. It's kind of just telling the story. Obviously we're leading up to something big. Aren't we always leading up to something big, where I'm sure there will be lessons to be learned. But yeah, if you think I've missed anything, I feel like I have. I don't know why. So please share your comments below if you think there's something else that is useful to point out, or any thoughts that you've had. And I will catch you tomorrow for chapter 15. Have a great day. Bye.